Hello everyone, my name is Nicolas Lempereur and I'm a field marketing manager at Dell Technologies. And today I'm going to share with you some insights how we as a company can help you, guide you and support you throughout this fast-pacing workforce transformation. Now you all know that the COVID-19 has forced us to adapt to new ways of working. So instead of stepping into our cars and going to meet our customers, well, now we have to organize conference calls to meet our customers virtually. Or instead of going to the office on site, well, everybody needs to work from home at their home office. Now, this seems all very straightforward if you look at it from a perspective now, but this didn't came without any obstacles or big challenges for the IT manager and the IT infrastructure. So as country per country started to go more into a lockdown, which was of course a necessity because everybody wants to keep their employees and the communities and of course the customers safe. And that's where actually the real challenge started for the IT managers. So everybody really needed to be quickly involved in having the right tools, the right equipment in order to be productive from the moment they needed to start from working from home. But they didn't necessarily take into account that they managed to choose the right tools for the right types of employees or take into account also the entire ecosystem that comes with it. So actually we know that these challenges have been pretty obvious for the IT infrastructure and the IT managers in general. But we as Dell, we also needed to face this challenge. And of course, thanks to our very broad assortment and all the services and all the technologies and all the equipment we offer to our customers and we can of course use for ourselves as well, well, we managed actually to overcome this challenge pretty easy and pretty fluently. So actually currently we have over 100,000 Dell Technologies team members working remotely, and this went all on in a very, very smooth way. And we want to give you that experience and give you the same advantages of making this transition and making this remote workforce also future-proof for the coming years. So if we look at the work from home journey, since the offset of the COVID-19, 65% of the companies expanded work from home policies. So this means basically that a lot of people getting more and more flexibility to choose to work from home. Which also roughly 40% expecting to maintain a long-term work from home journey. And of course, if we look at these trends, everybody knows that we have to adapt and change the way we are working, but also in terms of the technology provided to keep being productive and keep being efficient. Now we call this a journey because the work from home journey starts in different waves. So the first wave, the do it light wave, there we had of course the first phase where I already mentioned in the slide before, where the IT managers were really challenged. They needed to make quick decisions. They needed to look for all the opportunities they had in order to equip the employees and their work staff as fast as possible in order for them to be able to work remotely. But that doesn't necessarily mean that they made the right decisions because, of course, is every tool or every endpoint that they selected fit for the type of user or the type of employee? Did they take into account the entire ecosystem that comes with it? Did they take also into account the security aspects, the VPN connections, and all these stuff? All this complexity comes, of course, at a later stage once we already started to equip everybody. So now we are actually facing the second wave. So it's the do it right phase. And that is also the part where we as Dell can help you and help you develop a comprehensive remote technology stack. This means that now that everybody has the equipment, doesn't mean they necessarily have the right equipment. So now we all want to look together with you for future-proof solutions in order to take into account, of course, the right tools for the right type of employees. Also in terms of security, in terms of support, and in terms of services that comes with it. And if we look at a later phase, this is also will be the third wave, then we look at the innovational part. And then of course we will have to be able to provide future-proof technology, future-proof solutions that will adapt to the new work from home habits and the new work from home trends. So if we look actually at the trends, we as Dell had, of course, the opportunity to do some research. And as you can see on the table here, the remote work staff pre-COVID-19 was roughly around 20%. So the majority of the people still working actually on-site at their local offices. Of course, once the pandemic started, we all saw these numbers rise up really quickly, and everybody is working from home right now. But of course, we have to look at the post-COVID situation, where you see that in 2 or 3 years, the remote workforce will grow roughly to 30 to even 40%. That's a double of the number of the percentage we had pre-COVID. And of course, if you look at these trends within 3 to 10 years, or even way further than that, we will expect that actually an entire workforce or an entire employee set will be a remote workforce. And this is, of course, the phase where we are today, preparing actually for the post-COVID situation where 40% of the work staff needs to have the right equipment to work remotely. So actually the remote workforce is a real thing. So it's first of all, it's really important that we listen to the customers, and we have to listen to their needs to help them to make the right decisions. So I will go through a couple of questions you can expect, or you have to ask the customers in order to be able to provide the necessary tools or the necessary equipment. So for every challenge or every obstacle, well, Dell has a solution, and Dell has the answer for their customers and their partners. So if the users or the users of a company are struggling to be productive, what can we do to help? Now, of course, the productivity of an employee is also related to the endpoint, because everybody's working on the computer nowadays. So if the computer isn't working properly or isn't expecting the specific needs from the end user, yeah, well, then it's also accompanied, of course, a bad experience and a lack of productivity. So an employee experience is also what you expect from an endpoint device. So the hardware needs to be personalized, the hardware needs to be productive from day one. The performance needs also to be optimized, and they need an uninterrupted workflow. And this, at the same time, has to be basically in an entire secure environment, because they don't want to be bothered, or they don't have to think about malwares or security threats, etc., etc. They just want to have a device which is properly working and which expect also the specific needs and the requirements from their end. So if you have this bundle completely scheduled, then you will expect also to have happy, inspired employees. And this comes all together with a good user experience and productivity and efficiency at the same time. And of course, we at Dell, we have the right tools and the right equipment for every type of worker, for every type of employee. Thanks to our beautiful commercial Latitude portfolio, we have an answer, and we have a solution for everybody's specific requirements and everybody's specific needs. We have going from the 3000 series, which are entry range devices, which come at very competitive prices, all the way to the 7000 and 9000 series, which are premium, sleek, light, aluminum devices. Well, we have really the right equipment for the right type of people and right set of employees. So these devices are all equipped with the latest commercial features, and respect also all the security aspects you would expect from a commercial device. And not only are they also very fast, thanks to the latest and newest components we have to offer, but they're also very smart, because now we also have built-in artificial intelligence technology that makes sure that the performance of your device is being optimized in an intelligent way. So really, our Latitude portfolio is the way to go if you look for the right endpoint device. So from a Dell point of view, of course, we have a very broad portfolio. And this is thanks to actually the strategy we are adapting, and we are focusing towards different personas. Personas actually are different workers, different type of workers. And if you look at the different types of workers we were oriented to in order to provide the right endpoint devices, you can see that the majority of these different personas was specifically dedicated to a pre-COVID situation. Now in a post-COVID situation or in an actual COVID situation, we had to go back to the drawing table and redesign these personas a bit in order to also be able to provide the necessary tools and equipment for a new type of work and a new type of style of workers. So we have now made a distinction between different sets of personas and different sets of that actually are based on the existing range, but we had to redesign them a bit to be more compliant for the COVID-19 situation or post-COVID-19 situation. Actually, the new remote workforce. So the knowledge workers, we have on-the-go executive, and we have people that work on single location. On-the-go executives, people that tend to work from home, of course, but also need to attend a couple of business critical meetings off-site with customers or partners. Well, these people, of course, are targeted as such. And for every type of worker, of course, we have the right set of tools and equipment, which we are presenting right here. But don't forget, of course, don't forget to go back to our virtual booth and download all the information we have provided for each persona, which I'm presenting right here. So the single location people, as well, people that work from one space in particular, working from home and can manage everything from one single location without needing to go off-site. And of course, the educational market is also something we need to take into account. But not only did we lose the luxury of going to the office, but also the students don't have the luxury anymore to go to schools again. So they also had to adapt the way they are learning, not only how we need to work, but also how the way they need to learn. And thanks to the equipment we are providing, of course, well, here you have a solid base of material that can help them also throughout their learning process. And not only for students, but also for teachers, the way they are educating their students. Now everything can also work remotely. So they also can utilize our equipment in order to teach their students in a more remote way. We have the phone-based workers, which are most settled from one single location, also at home. But at the same time, they need to be constantly on the phone, managing their customers, following up cases, and making sure everything works as it should be. And then we also still have a specialized personas, which are the which we see the high performance users, and these are the people that actually need to work with higher computing power because they work with programs, software, applications, which are basically a bit more requiring in terms of graphical performance or even power performance. So then we have also to end with the entire persona story, the limited connectivity users. Okay, as a second challenge or obstacle, so I have power users. So what do I need to, that need to know, that need to work remotely, sorry. How do I equip them? So as I already mentioned, this is related to actually the power users I mentioned before in the personas. So how can we equip these people, or how can we equip these types of employees? So we have two options actually we can consider here. Or we have the mobile workstation. So our workstations are also our specialized computing devices, which can generate a lot of compute power, a lot more than, of course, our latitude range, for example, thanks to high-performance graphical cards and high-performance CPUs, which are really designed for a workstation device. But of course, you also have a second option, and that's actually through the virtual desktop integrations. These are the VDI solutions. So thanks to actually our thin client system or WISE thin client systems, the people doesn't necessarily need a high compute power system like a workstation in order to be able to work on high performance applications or high performance software. If they have, for example, if the company has on site actually a existing server where everything is also equipped with the necessary graphical cards and the necessary components. Well, thanks to the thin client technology and the VDI technology, everything which happens actually at that database, at that server, can be duplicated towards actually the thin client. And all and the compute force or the compute power that is inside the server can be actually just copied to a thin client and presents to you in a virtual way what the server can reflect, so to say. So as a following challenge, I want to make remote deployment and support more efficiency from day one. So how do we do that? So of course, it's very important to know that Dell doesn't stop at the endpoint. So we also have a bunch of services that comes along with it. And thanks to our unified workspace strategy, we take into account several different aspects. So we focus on the deployment part, we focus on the security part, we focus on the manageability part, and we focus on the support side. So these 4 aspects are actually part of the unified workspace strategy that Dell is applying. So taking into account actually the end user needs. So of course, having an endpoint to be able to work from home, having a mobile phone when you are on the road. And at the same time, we also take into account the needs from the IT managers, and they need to be sure and need to be ensured that their working staff has actually the tools that are up to date, software updates that being scheduled at the right time, and of course detecting malware threats from a distance when something is threatening to enter the internal network. So all these aspects actually make part of the unified workspace. But how can we make sure that the working staff is productive from day one? Well, this is thanks to our deploy strategy and the deploy service we are offering. So there are five steps to be able to be productive from day one. So thanks to our pro deploy services, we defined the following steps together with the customers in order to have a device or an endpoint which is ready from day one. So first of all, we will define the specific workspace for each type of user. So each type of employee has to work with specific types of applications or has to run on a different software image. So for each type of employee, Dell will look together with the customer how to define a specific workspace for each type of user. After that, once the workspace has been defined, they will send the desired workspace to Dell for setting it up. Then once we receive that, we will apply this workspace in all the devices from the factory. After that, we will ship the devices directly to the user or the IT manager. And as from the moment that the user boots on the device, well, the PC will be ready to use from day one without the IT manager having to interfere with anything else. So this is actually what we provide as a service, and it saves a lot of IT hours as well, and it creates a much better experience. So how can we help to better manage users remotely? So this is also linked actually towards the Workspace ONE tool we are offering in collaboration with VMware. So Workspace ONE is actually a tool which all the IT managers can use, and anything is managed from a cloud-based perspective. So all the different features and functionalities that Workspace ONE is offering just provides a general overview for an IT manager to have an entire view of the entire IT infrastructure in a company and can define which user has which device running on which OS. So it's a ready-to-work experience. So this is actually a complete overview and a perfect manageability tool for an IT manager to have a very comfortable position in order to manage all the devices which are employed in the company. It's a self-service empowerment as well, because what I just mentioned before with our Pro Deploy service and the productivity as from day one, well, of course, was from the moment that the user boots up their computer. Well, they will be in their personal workspace. And Workspace ONE, of course, offers for the user also to select the types of applications they need for their day-to-day tasks and routines. So it's also always up to date. So the IT manager can schedule, of course, software updates from a distance that will be executed at a specific time or specific moment in order to be able to make sure that all the devices are always running on the latest software, and also in order to be protected against the latest security threats. And actionable insights also gives a clear view for the IT manager to see what types of applications are being downloaded and being used for some specific users, how that specific users interact with their device, or what's the status of the specific device in order to be prepared to change to newer models once the life cycle of one specific device is over. And Zero Trust Security, of course, provides the necessary security element, and this all within a cloud-based and secure environment. One of the advantages as well of the Workspace ONE tool is that it's a multi-OS capable. So not only can it be run on notebook devices running on Windows, but you can also run it on a iPhone with iOS or a smartphone running on Android systems. So it's multi-OS compatible, and it really gives the advantage of about using and utilizing these types of tools. So really a step forward in terms of service, and really a tool that can help our IT managers with the right support. So are you concerned about security for your data and assets? Of course, security plays a bigger role. It was already pre-COVID, and post-COVID, it will even play a more significant role as well. So having a endpoint secured is one of the biggest priorities a company needs to take into account. And we, of course, as providing our security services towards our customers and partners, well, we aim to prevent, detect, and respond with our security services. So also thanks to the collaboration again with VMware that is offering their Carbon Black service, we can provide next-gen antivirus and endpoint detection and response. So actually, when we talk about the preventing that specific malware enters a work network, then we provide actually tools that constantly learn and constantly are able to detect from a distance or from a specific point of view before the malware has a chance actually to enter your company network. But also the part where they can detect it. So it's new technology that's able to detect also in advance the malware which is threatening to attack the network. And of course, the respond part is where we are able with this technology to contain and retain the incident and be able to eliminate it before it even gets to damage actually a lot of data. So all these aspects, if you take that into account, is really one of our priority focuses when offering security services. We prevent, we detect, and we respond to specific malware. And thanks to our next-gen technology, we are already able to detect the threat even before it will enter the network. And as the last part, I'm struggling a bit with budget. What can I get? Of course, it's not really a cheap step, of course, to go and invest in an entire IT infrastructure, because when applying or deploying multiple devices within a workforce where a lot of people are working, of course, that comes with a big budget. Big financial intake. So we also have a solution for that. That's thanks to our PC as a service. So PC as a service is actually a financial service that comes from Dell, and which gives you actually the opportunity to lease your devices. So if you think about a leasing formula, you already know that actually at the end of your contract of 3 or 4 years, well, you won't have to have paid actually the entire amount of all the system you have been using for all these years. So we are defining with the PC as a service program a step-by-step solution and a step-by-step contract where we will take into account which endpoints we will define, we will use for your company. Of course, the deployment services also comes accompanied with it. So once you have determined which hardware you're going to utilize, then we will define also which type of workspace and which type of image you want to upload on these systems. And once they are finished, we will make sure that all the endpoints go straight towards IT manager or to the end user in order to be day one, to be productive as from day one. Of course, our support service is also accompanied with it. So pro support is also one of the most important aspects so that we can offer. If you have issues with your devices, Dell is also there to help you and guide you to restore your systems back to normal in case of issues. And then as the last part, we have the asset recovery, where of course, after the specific life cycle of your devices, because you can choose contracts from 3 to 4 years. So after that life cycle of 3 years, we recover the old devices and we replace them with, of course, new ones and restart the entire cycle again. And this is all accompanied with a monthly fee, which is really affordable, predictable, and all at a single point per month. So thanks to this actually financial service Dell is providing, you won't have to invest entirely your budget in IT infrastructure. You'll be able to manage your entire IT infrastructure on the lease base, where you pay a monthly fee, and at the end of the contract, of course, you will have to even have paid the entire amount of the systems you have used. So that's it for my part. So I hope you found this session very interesting. Again, I invite you to go to our virtual booth and download all the available information we have at disposal for you. And if you have any questions, we're still there today to answer all your questions in the chat. Thank you for your attention.